like to welcome everybody to the Kalispell City Council chambers. I'm Mayor Johnson, and we have 4 candidates for the Sheriff's Department race. And this really is the race as we understand it. So what happens in the primary, it becomes it. So
winner take all.
Like to do, I'm going to start left to right and start with you, Mr. Stahlberg. And I'm going to have you tell the audience who you are, why you're running, and what qualities you possess that you think best suit you to the Sheriff's Office.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Keith Stahlberg, and I am running for Flathead County Sheriff. I was born and raised here in the Valley, and I've been married to the love of my life in the back. Next month will be 27 years.
Nice.
So I know the meaning of devotion. Together, we've raised 4 children in this valley, so I know the meaning of sacrifice. I've been working on patrol at the Flathead County Sheriff's Department full-time and as a volunteer reserve deputy for 17 years now. So I know the meaning of endurance. For the last 6 years, I've been a sergeant in the patrol division at the Sheriff's Department, so I know the meaning of dedication. I've ran my campaign with honesty and integrity. It has been based solely on my passion for the safety of this community and the priorities that I see as a sergeant on patrol every day. I'm a straight shooter, not a politician, and if you ask me a question, I'll give you an honest answer. We are no longer living in Mayberry, and we need a long-term vision for how we want this valley to look for generations to come. So I ask that you go to my website and check out what my priorities are and my vision is for the Flathead County Sheriff's Department and our community. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Brian Hano. I'm sitting here today currently as a community member, a father, and a member of our generation. I was born and raised in the Flathead Valley and seen us grow as a community, and I'm proud to call this place home. I believe in this community. I'm here to serve, and I've proven that service through many ways. 17 years of continuous law enforcement, 15 of them right here. I've served in every aspect of this sheriff's office, from 6 years on patrol to now the patrol commander, from search and rescue to currently on 2 Bear Air. I am dedicated to this community, and the reason I'm dedicated is because I'm raising my family right here. I have my wife and my children, and I want to see our future, and it's so bright with so many aspects that we have right here. My name is Brian Hano. I'm running for sheriff, and I'm a leader for our future.
Thank you, Mr. Hano. Mr. Behringer.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. My name is Calvin Behringer. I was born in Montana and raised on a small cattle ranch out by Kyla. I'm a graduate of Flathead High School, and I'm a veteran. I have over 32 years of law enforcement and management experience from the military, the King County Sheriff's Office, and your Flathead County Sheriff's Office. I was also the interim director of the Office of Emergency Services and the 911 Center for a short period of time. I've managed teams in patrol, criminal investigations, narcotics, community policing, and organizational development. What is my strategy? First, we need to conduct a needs assessment of the Sheriff's Office, the jail, and the 911 Center. Then we need to develop a plan, a long-term plan. This plan will include, but not limited to, increase cooperation with other agencies and develop evidence-based policing. We need to develop partnerships with schools and develop mentoring programs in those schools. We need to increase community involvement and establish community storefronts. Finally, do we really need a new jail? I don't think so, at least not short-term and maybe not long-term. But we need to develop a community plan to decrease our return visitors. I believe if we all work together, we can definitely design a plan to reduce crime and the fear of crime. Thank you. I'm Calvin Behringer.
Mr. White.
Hello, I'm Jordan White, and I am proud to be a candidate for sheriff in Flathead County. This has been my home, and I've had perhaps an unconventional career because I have dedicated myself across the wide array of public safety services, beginning in EMS and fire to sheriff's office as a volunteer, and then a career in the sheriff's office where I climbed through the ranks, experienced and achieved many things along the way, and was eventually promoted to the office of undersheriff after being a patrol supervisor, the search and rescue coordinator, and an instructor and field training officer. And it was in the position of undersheriff that I had the opportunity to see a different perspective of the sheriff's office. And that is the perspective of the fact the sheriff's office belongs to each and every one of you in this community. And when we face challenges that we have in this community, we can get a much more diverse solution, and we can do it more passionately when we incorporate the programs, the individuals, the partners in the criminal justice system, and we can bring those together in a cooperative way. And that's what I've done through my entire career in different opportunities that I've had, writing grants to solve funding problems and involving the community. Thank you.
Thank you. So the first question, I'm going to start with Mr. Behringer. Move right to left, game of pong. What would your priorities in the first 90 days and 12 months be as your tenure of sheriff?
The priorities is we have to see what we have. We got to get in and do a needs assessment on the 3 programs, the sheriff's office, the jail, and the communications center. We've got to see what we have. We have to look at what we've done in the past, and we have to develop a plan for the future. We can't move forward without knowing what we have, and we can't move forward without knowing what we had in the past. We need to look at all 3 of those agents, or those part of the county, and then we need to work together with our partners out there in the community, other law enforcement agencies, and other partners like nonprofits and those agencies that want to help us. We have to develop a plan. We have to look to the future. If we continue doing what we're doing now without planning and working with others, including you all in the community, we're not going to get anywhere. We have to plan for the future.
Okay. Mr. Hale.
The benefit is that I'm already serving in those functions. We're already moving forward on every day. And to coming up with that plan is giving a direction. As the first thing I would do is we need to come up with our best things to give every officer in our department the way and the path that they want to go. And why we do that, we have to be specific in our directions so they know the outcome, we know the outcome, so that everybody's heading in one continuous motion. And that's not just communication with us, that's communication with the commission, that's communication with our citizens and community, so we know where we're going. A lot of that has to do with balancing of being fiscally responsible. If we're not going to be able to take and identify those needs and then balance the funds, then we're not doing the best service for you. And my job now and continually is to serve the people of this community. 12 months, I think, and sometimes in law enforcement it changes weekly, just depending on what's going on in the world. But a year from now, we have to be looking at some pretty big solutions and having the solutions to a couple things. One is our 911 center, which has already been brought up. 911 center is one of the most important things. I don't know about anybody in the room, but when I call 911, I really want somebody to answer. And so it's one of those essential keys that we have to have. The other one is it is tied to our radio communication systems, and funding is an issue. And without communications and talking about that and how we're going to fund it and coming up with the most economical and fiscal responsible plan, again, we're not doing the best service for you. The last one is the detention facility. Very hot topic. There's a lot of different moving parts, but I've had a lot of experience dealing with some of the management functions of that. It's a 3-tier facility. The door has one way in and one way out, and we're constantly evaluating the best functions to make it work, but we also need to look at our future. Thank you.
Mr. White.
I'd like to begin by just saying I am so proud of where the sheriff's office is today. I know all 4 of us have worked diligently and hard, and a lot of people who don't get to be represented tonight have poured into us being where we are. That being said, any candidate, especially me, I've been a champion of unconventional solutions to issues, is going to create change just because we're different. And I believe in the first 90 days is the opportunity to go in and get into all the corners of the sheriff's office. We have a sworn division that's out investigating crimes and patrolling your communities, but the detention staff, as we've heard in recent forums, is they want some attention, and there's a lot of changes going on just in people's perspectives of our detention center. So being able to hear those voices and understand what our true challenges are now, so we don't make an irresponsible choice early on, but we do a complete needs assessment, as they've already mentioned, before we make an expansion. The relationship with the community is paramount. Our trust with you is critical, and I believe that opening up those lines of communication and identifying the key partners who can help spread the word of the good work that we're doing and the vision and direction of the Sheriff's Office is going to be essential to the way that we accomplish that. And then and that's in 90 days. I mean, that's a lot of work to do in 90 days, but it's essential. And within that 90 days and 12 months is where we really need to nail down some of these issues that are extremely emotional to our community. School safety, drugs, funding the 911 center, and overhauling the criminal justice system so it works for all parts of the system from beginning to end.
Mr. Stolberg.
Well, probably in the first 90 days, it's trying to get our office to come together. Anytime you have a new sheriff in town, there's going to be some people that like them and then some people that might not, just because of maybe personality difference, whatever. But that would be my first priority, is so we're all on the same team, we'll all back each other up, and we'll all die for each other. And I want to bring this office together. There's little things that we can do. Dare I say it, allow our patrol deputies to wear beards again. I know my wife doesn't like beards, so you won't see me in a beard, I'll promise you that. Bringing baseball caps to the officers that are follically challenged so they don't get sunburned. Little things like that. I want my deputies to know that I care and that I'll do anything for them to move the office forward. If you've looked at my Facebook page or my website, you know detention is not my first priority. My first priority is the safety of this community and the safety of the deputies that are out there working the road. So my first priority is fixing our radio system. Most people don't know how bad our radios work. They're getting better, and then the next day they're terrible. Well, that's okay if you're just dealing with a barking dog call. But if you're on a gun call, it's imperative that we're able to talk with each other. That keeps you safe as a community and community members, and that keeps us safe as law enforcement. So that's my number one priority, and that's something that needs to be addressed immediately. Also detention, that would be within the first year. I hope that we can come together and have a plan for our detention, because that is going to be a huge issue, and if we keep kicking that can down the road, it's only going to get worse. So we need to start doing long-term planning.
Thank you, Mr. Stolberg. Next question, I'm going to start with Mr. Haino, and I'm going to step over the bounds of the judiciary system on this one. So, do you feel the district court system in Flathead County is holding up its end of the justice system and handing out punishment that fits the crime? Do you believe stronger sentencing would act as a deterrence?
Specifically district court? That was the
Yes.
question. You know, I think the court systems a couple of years ago were very overloaded, and they've done a great job of actually trying to catch those systems up. And it's a balance. I mean, I guess a lot of what they look at every day is a very complex of issues. It's not just deciding whether somebody's guilty or not guilty, but a lot of times what is they going to receive. And they're looking at detention issues. They're looking at what's the best case scenario to bring that person back into society. I think the key on that one is I think they're doing the best job they can with the limited resources sometimes they have. And a lot of that is also room. You know, we're dealing with a facility that was built a long time ago. To add another courtrooms, to add other judges is difficult. But like anything else that we've talked about today, we're growing. We have 100,000 people, 5,280 square miles, and we're pushing 42 to 43,000 calls in Flathead County. And I'm not even talking about the city cases and everything else it's constantly occurring. So I believe that the district court judges are doing the best job they can by reviewing every single one, trying to make the best in their judgments, And I think that they have done a good job of balancing all of that caseload to make it efficient, to put out the best things that they believe will make that person a better citizen.
Thank you. Mr. Stallberg.
Okay, so absolutely, is district court doing the best job that they can? Absolutely. However, do I agree with every decision they make? Absolutely not. Here's the problem. Our bottleneck in this entire county is lack of jail space. We've known it for years, and we haven't done any long-term planning to fix it. We've got to start doing that, folks, because we're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter whether you're district court, justice court, probation and parole, sheriff's office, Kalispell, Whitefish, Columbia Falls, Forest Service, all the different law enforcement agencies in this valley is trying to hold this mishmash sandwich that we've created for ourselves together for years. We've done it very well for the last few years. But you know, when the drug epidemic hit us, we weren't prepared. We weren't prepared. We failed you as taxpayers. And so now we're feeling the brunt of it. There's probably people in this room that have been victims of crime. And you felt that, oh boy, I didn't get the justice that I deserved. Well, the problem that you have is that bottleneck of detention. If you don't have space to put people in, you can say, well, you know what, you're sentenced to 100 years. But it's meaningless if you don't have space to put them in. So that's why we need to do long-term planning. And that's why I say if we don't do anything, if we just deal with the status quo like we're doing today, in 50 years, we're going to need a 400-bed facility. So if that's the case, we better start planning for that now. Part of that is, let's start educating beforehand. Hopefully, let's stop this drug epidemic before it even starts in the future. So it doesn't mean that I think tomorrow we need a 400-bed facility like some people think. But if we don't do long-term planning, we're going to need that facility. And if we keep on kicking this can down the road, 30 years from now when we need that 400-bed facility, how much is it going to cost then? So let's start investing today and start hopefully heading that issue off at the pass.
Okay. Mr. White.
I believe that justice delayed is justice denied. And I acknowledge that everyone that works in the district court system is human and they're working hard, probably overworked. The challenges that I'm hearing from the community and what I experienced on the road and in administration is when the system bogs down, it backs up into detention. But when that system bogs down and district court overflows, it's not just our criminal cases that suffer. Family court is in district court too. We're talking child custody issues that get delayed 6 months, a year. Hearings get it moved and they get thrown out 3 to 6 months. I don't know whose fault that is, but if we need to change something there, we need to work together as partners in the criminal justice system to make that happen. Because when people don't have an opportunity to have certainty in their lives, especially when it comes to their kids and their families, whether it's intended or by circumstances, they make really bad choices. And I don't necessarily blame them because they're emotional issues. We can't just lock people up forever either. So I want to make sure that they have the resources that they need to make good judgment calls, as we've trusted them to do. But I realize that as a community, we need to make sure they have the best information available to them as quickly as possible so they can act on our behalf quickly. And if someone needs to be sentenced to prison, that they can be put through the process fairly, be represented properly, and then sentenced and moved into Deer Lodge as required. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Behringer.
Thanks, Mayor. The district court, I think, has done a great job for the resources they had available to them. We were short of bed space. We've increased the bed space. We've looked at some stronger sentencing that's going on, and we need to continue to look at that. But one of the key issues we need to look at is what are we doing for those prisoners when they're in the sheriff's office jail? We need to work together with others in our community, other partners, law enforcement, Department of Corrections, other resources, nonprofits, the health department. We got to look for ways to minimize their return visits to the jail. Why do we continue to try to arrest our way out of this situation? It's not working. We've proven it has not been working here or other agencies around the United States and the world. We have to develop programs with community partnerships with outstanding individuals like you to make sure that we minimize the amount of prisoners that are coming back into our jail.
Okay. We're going to go at the same problem from a little different direction. As we understand, the county commissioners recently received a study indicating the cost of the new jail facility would be $75 million. You think an investment of this size is warranted today? And what other options should be considered? An example, treatment centers or alternative sentencing. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Behringer.
I'm not prepared to stand up here or sit up here or stand and come to you in the near future and say we need a new jail. I have not seen a needs assessment for what we have. I've heard about comparisons around the state of Montana and other agencies, but I have not seen the assessment that it needs to be done. Again, we need to look at what happened in the past, where are we at now, and where do we want to go in the future. And we need to look at other areas that are similar to us so that we can draw data from them and make a plan for the future. Whether it's 70 million, more or less, we can't move forward without having a plan. And you are all part of that plan. We have to get together, we have to look at what we have, the resources that we have, and then we need to move forward with that plan.
Mr. White?
I feel strongly about this issue, mainly because I don't believe that our failure to achieve success is because of a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness. And when I read the options in that plan, I did not like them. And the truth of the matter is, I don't want to get rid of the 150 beds we already own that the taxpayers have bought. They're the most expensive beds we can build in the county. And I know that the new model is single-level detention center, which needs more space. But in '84, when we built what we have, that was trendy then. And that's what we have, and it works well. So my hope is that we could come up with a solution that expands the jail we already have, just like we progressively added 40 more beds. We should have a plan to progressively expand that. But when we look at other options for the community, we have nonviolent offenders that could benefit from a lower security detention center to serve their time, to pay the price that they owe society, to receive options in education and things in their life that would help them make better choices, and perhaps treatment centers. But I don't believe that we need to plan to spend up to $74 million to make sure that our county jail that houses people for less than a year needs recreational spaces and parts of this program that we could do without. We had a jail that was built for 60 people that we were able to expand to fit 92 when we got rid of the library and the recreation centers and the common areas and things, when we put beds in it. We need to take care of our people, but I would like to start with our taxpayers and our citizens. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Stolberg?
$75 million. Wow. That's insane. Do I think we need to spend $75 million on a new jail? Absolutely not. I think there's different ways that we can do it, and I am, like Jordan, I think that there might be other plans available. It might cost a little bit more to run per year if we have multiple floors, but I think we've been a great neighbor to the city of Kalispell and to the neighborhood in general, and I have a hard time swallowing that pill. I can tell you we absolutely, unequivocally need more beds. How we get there, I'm not convinced that the plan that was given to us, the 3 different scenarios, is the right way to go. The other thing that really needs to be brought up is in that plan is a contingency that says in 2020, it's going to go up 10% every year. 10%. So the longer that we kick this can down the road, it's just going to cost us more money, folks. So we need to come together and figure out, we need more jail space. Can we do it on the site right now? I think that's a very good possibility. I think we also need treatment. I think drug court is part of that. But I also am an advocate for bringing in a long-term drug treatment program here in the Valley. That's a piece of the puzzle that we do not have right now, and that I think it's absolutely needed. Now, does that have anything to do with the Sheriff's Department? Not really, other than we might bring them some clientele. But that's something that we need to come together as a community and decide whether it's tax incentives or whatever to get them to start up here, because I think it's time. Everybody remembers Jim DuPont, one of the well-liked sheriffs that we had from years ago. Well, do you know in 2004, he wanted to increase our jail space 280%? What have we done since the last 14 years? We got 40 beds, but we need more, and we need to start doing some long-term planning with that.
Thank you, Mr. Stolberg. Mr. Hanel.
You know, on-site is a little difficult. That was where that quote came from. And a lot of that, the concerns I have is parking. I already walked, I swear, a mile and a half to get to the blue building to register your vehicles, which many of you know the difficulties with that. But the reality is I'm tired of the Band-Aids, and we need to start moving forward on directions. We've ordered study after study. From DuPont to now, we just keep spending money on these studies. I think it's time to come up with the solutions rather than keep studying the problem. There's a lot of things about the jail, if you ever, hopefully never get to have to go in there, but it's cramped. Our detention staff is safety, the safety of the inmates, all those types of things are also considerations. And we've crammed everything into every single spot. We're all talking about programs up here, but there isn't really a large room or an area to do those programs. So a lot of those solutions are going to have to be off-site at the current rate. The current plans, and I have to give plugs to where we're already headed, we started saving money. That's a huge aspect of when you're doing anything. And the off-site location is $10 or $20 million cheaper. Because if you add on to anything, it's always the difficulties of trying to get the plumbing and the heating and all that stuff to work right. The other thing is it's a 3-tier facility that takes increased staffing. You have to have the staff members at every single level for safety of the inmates, safety for the officers, communications is an issue, transports. But reality, we have to start looking at that future. Yeah, they came up with a plan. Is it the best plan? No, but I think we could probably modify it to at least come up with something. The other aspect is, yes, 20% increases, 10% increase by 2020. That's a lot. If we need to start taking this, moving it forward in a direction, it gives the guidance to our people and it lets our employees know what's going on and allows the community and the taxpayers to understand what we're doing.
I'm going to give a minute to each of you to close and ask for the taxpayers' votes, and we'll wrap this up this evening. So I'm going to start with Mr. White and move right to left.
Awesome. Well, thank you for this opportunity and everyone's attention. This is one of the most critical elements of this race is you guys being involved, not just today, but for the next 4 years as we reach out and ask for support and ideas. That's what I've achieved and demonstrated in my career so far, is integrating my passion, my drive, my initiative, and my ideas with the community, with the public, with the office. I believe that it expands to our partners in the criminal justice system, to our neighbors, to the organizations who have a passion to solve some of the problems that we've been talking about today, and will do it because they have already created the programs and put the people together to do it. We get to tap into those. I got to experience that as an administrator and also had the chance to do the real job of sheriff, and that's why I'm here asking for your vote on June 5th. Thank you.
Mr. Behringer.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everybody out there for attending this evening, and those that are watching us are going to watch us on video. We have a wonderful opportunity to do something that a lot of people in our community have not had an opportunity in the past. You have 4 quality candidates up here with phenomenal backgrounds that are ready to take the helm of the sheriff's office. I would ask you to look at their backgrounds, look at their experiences, look at the things that they have accomplished, look at the people that they've worked with and other organizations, because the only way that we're going to be able to do this job is we're going to need to partner with you and other organizations in our area and in our state to develop a plan for the future. The only way we're going to be able to do that is we're going to have to sit in one spot. We're going to have to work it out. Again, take a look at what we've done in the past. What are we doing now? And what are we going to do in the future? And let's take a look at some of the things that are going on around our region and draw from their opportunities and their plans that they have done before and move to the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Hanum. I'm running for sheriff. I'm running with 17 years' experience, currently the patrol commander, done everything in that sheriff's office and have served and loved every minute of it. I'm raising a family here, and I've loved every minute of it. 6 years patrol, 3 years drug task force, 4 years search and rescue coordinator, sheriff's posse liaison, 2 years as commander, 10 years on SWAT, FTO, bike patrol, run, lock, fight, anything that I can imagine and dreamed I've been able to do. My priorities are our kids. We're starting with our future. That's where our solutions have got to start. We got to protect them. We got to be in our schools, and we got to make sure that we're preparing them for our future. Our community, we got to interact. We have to work with our programs. We have to work on crime prevention. We have to start being out and about and being involved. And we're going to progress for our future. We've got our growth. We've got a plan, and we have to be fiscally responsible that entire time. I am also honored to say that I am endorsed by the Sheriff's Association, and I could not ever imagine in all this time that that would be the biggest honor I have. So thank you. My name is Brian Hanno, and I'm running for sheriff.
Mr. Stolberg.
Well, folks, this is going to be a very vital election. Now, obviously, there's a lot of good guys up here that's vying for your votes. We all have different ideas on what we want to do to help move this office forward and our community. And I ask you all to stop and take a look at where we live. Now, I've never seen that in downtown Kalispell before. But take a look at that. That's where we get to live. The very fact that everyone here present tonight was able to come unhindered, nobody mugged you as you're walking in through the door, should tell you something about the special place that we all get to live in. But I'm going to tell you, our area is changing rapidly. We are no longer Mayberry. How much crime is too much crime? And what is your safety worth for you and your family? These are questions that we all need to ask ourselves. And I believe in long-term planning. I believe if we all come together as a community, we can come up with the solutions that we need as a county. So I humbly ask everyone here tonight, together, let's start planning for the future of Flathead County. Thank you for your time, and be careful going home.
I'd like to thank the 4 sheriff's candidates. It's the first time we've had a sheriff forum, and I appreciate your responses this evening. And one, I also want to thank you for your willingness to step up and run for this important office. I also want to take the time to thank those who are running for House District 7 and 9 and our county commissioner candidates. You know, the one common element that we see is that each of these individuals cares about Flathead County and its citizens. So I appreciate the efforts that they've put into this and that they're sticking their necks out for your vote. It's a tough position to be in when you stand in front of somebody and give your explanation of what you believe, because not everybody thinks like you do. And I think it's important that we are able to express those opinions as politicians and as citizens, because ultimately, I, as the mayor, I'm responsible to the citizens of Kalispell. That's why we hold these forums, and that's why I ask these people to be here with us every evening, or the evenings when we do these forums. So thank you, and don't forget to do your part and go vote. Thanks.